Trash, an inevitable byproduct of human existence. Nowhere has efficient and functional waste management systems been more crucial than in today's cities. With our cities' annual growth rates one of the highest in the world, the lack of adequate and functional waste management systems is catastrophic. In Kenya, sorting of waste is still a very foreign concept for many, and from the household to corporate organizations, all manner of waste is disposed of together with serious environmental and social consequences. As we work towards becoming a sustainable city, the strategies and planning for effective waste management must be undertaken with a great sense of urgency.
For most of us in cities, we hardly think about our trash. Once it's out of our hands, we hardly think about where it's going or even who has to deal with it. But the fact is, someone is dealing with it all right, and possibly even at the expense of their health and their lives. Hi, I'm Esther, and this is Project Green.
With an estimated 600 grams of waste being attributed to each Nairobi city resident, I hit the streets to find out what the average city dweller knows about where most of their waste ends up.
Do you know where your trash ends up once it leaves the house?
No, I don't. They don't tell us. Yeah, but we trust that they take it to a safe place.
Do you know?
Totally, to be honest, I have no idea.
I don't know wherever they check. I think it's that slum in the Eastlands, yeah.
Do you know?
I think those people who collect should know more.
The fact is that most of our trash ends up here in the Dandora dump site, and illegally so, because this dump site was officially declared full more than 10 years ago. Occupying about 30 acres of land, Dandora dump site is East Africa's largest dump site, and according to several studies, one of the most hazardous environments in the country.
According to international laws, a dump site should be in a place for at least a maximum of 10 years. It actually should be 5 years and then it should be closed. But this has been there for over 40 years. There has been attempts for the decommissioning, but always when we almost reach there, something happens. I find it strange that people throw rubbish. This rubbish affects children, it's killing people, and there's never been any protest. So I find it strange that people who live along the slums, they're not cared for. You cannot do this in Muthaiga or in Runda or even in Bulbul. You cannot have a dump site in the middle of people's settlements. You can't.
Karibu.
Hey, hi, Damaris.
Mzuri sana.
Habari ya masi.
Huyu mtoto anaitwa Gloria Jerry Kimani na alianza shida ya kuwa na homa, kukohoa wakati ni mzaa akiwa na 1 month. Hiyo ndio shida ilianza. Hiyo shida hata shule yao iko hivyo. Watoto wengi wako na hiyo shida ya makamasi. Junapata chupa zimejaa kwa nyumba, watoto wagonjwa, homa haiishi.
Here in Kariobangi, the greatest percentage of the patients we treat, most of them have respiratory tract infection, approximately 70%. The smokes, or rather the fumes which are emitted, are the ones that individuals inhale, and of which you'll find that people will develop respiratory infections. So the research that was conducted in St. John's Informal School in Korogocho, the leading one was respiratory, in which it covered 46.9%, followed by skin disorders, that was 14.5%. And then the third one was gastroenteritis, which covered a proportion of 17.9%. There's a connection between the illness and also the dump site.
What do you call that? Our buying price.
Majority of the pupils tend to go to the dump site, work there, rather than coming to school. It has also increased the use of drugs. Some of the people in the school are also engaged in drugs because they go there. Once they go there, for you to cope there, you must be under the influence of drugs. And there is one which is known as MC. I think they put it in a handkerchief and sniff.
Hiyo umeficha hapo nyuma.
Ini MC.
Hii unapata wapi? Umetoa wapi? Huku tu.
Nimenunua.
Umenunua wapi?
Kwa chini.
Hapa kwa boma? Si uliambiwa usikuwa na dui? Na kwani unafanya? Wewe unaenda chuo? Kwa nini? Hizi tutatupa hizi. Si nzuri poa. So this is the bottle that little boy was carrying. It's what they call MC here. It contains jet fuel. I just want to show you how flammable this thing is and see just what a danger it is. Watch this. Look at that. So if that boy was to be lit or was to come close to any fire, he would just go up in flames.
Due to a lack of proper waste sorting practice, industrial, medical and household waste all ends up here. Chemical reactions from these combinations ignite fires, which are commonly known as boilers. Injuries from these fires are common here.
Sasa hata moto ikituliza chini, ikiwaka chini, ukikanyaga ndio sasa itakuletea maneno, utaungua mguu.
Si mmoja ama wawili, ni wengi wale wanaumia. Na wanaumianga bila kujua juu. Huwezi jua kama kuna moto. Nilienda kuseti fegi, nikateleza. Nikaanguka. Sasa ile kuanguka si mkono ikachomeka. Nikabidi.
Na hiyo ni nini iliangukia wapi?
Inakuanga ni ya kapa, ya sabuni. Huwa inayeyuka peke yake. Kama imewaka huwezi jua ni moto.
People are dying every month because of this dump site. We are talking of hundreds of people who are dying that we bury them. And I can tell you the lot of security, over 1,000 people die every year because of the effects of the dump site. This is a human rights issue. There is an exchange of arms and drugs in that place. They are the cartels who control that place. So I can say it is a human rights issue.
Many animals are also reared for meat in the community surrounding the dump site and also at the dump site itself. A study conducted on the effects of the dump site on livestock showed that chicken eggs and meat from animals reared within the radius of the dump site contained high amounts of dioxins and other chemicals known as PCBs, which are highly toxic to human health.
So right now I just want to show you some of the pigs that are reared right here at the dump site, right in the middle of the Dandora dumping site. And they are fed with food scraps and food waste that is collected within the dump site. So this could be some of the meat that's making its way onto your dinner table.
If nothing is done about this dump site, if no action is taken, people will continue dying. People will continue being the second, third or fourth class citizens because their minds cannot work well because the intellectual process is affected. The reproductive systems are affected. So we shall continue having 1 million people who are condemned to live as second or third class citizens because they cannot be naturally capable of doing what they should do, thanks to the dump site.
Question is, has the government failed in providing a proper and adequate waste management system for our cities? And have we, as city residents, failed to demand this of the government? Let's join Dan as he explores this further on Green Talk next.
Thank you, Esther. From the tons of solid waste piling at the dump sites to rampant littering on the streets and residential areas, proper waste management is still the Achilles heel to many cities and towns in Kenya that are trying to achieve a clean and healthy environment. Well, today, to help us wade through the murky pathways of waste management, we have Odhiambo T. Okech from Clean Kenya Campaign and Chege Mwaura, County Representative, Ngara Ward in Nairobi. Gentlemen, welcome to Green Talk.
Thank you.
All right, Mwaura, it's a basic mandate to ensure clean towns. Why do you think they've failed so badly?
You wouldn't say that they've really failed, because there are the initiatives that we are trying to start off, for example, the monthly cleanups. But waste management is a serious issue that cuts across both the government and also individuals. So it has to be balanced up.
You know, first and foremost, that's the county government's job.
Yes.
Before we talk about private partnerships,
yes.
Let's talk about the mandate and the responsibility of the county government.
It's serious money that is pumped in the environment department to be able to ferry that garbage from one point to the sorting point or the dumping site. So if we don't have enough, probably money, and the system is a bit clogged up, it becomes very difficult to the whole cycle to go in smoothly. Once we put in the vehicles, we have a challenge with the dump site. And if you bring in the contractors in board, then it also has its own challenges. So probably some of us are proposing that we even have a company that sorts out waste management in Nairobi differently and separated from City Hall.
So you're talking about a private company?
Yes.
Odhiambo, what's your take on that?
We've never engaged in waste management in Kenya. We are engaging in shifting waste from one point to another. Last year, we hosted 2 forums on waste management. The first one was with the city council officials, the then city council officials. We wanted to know what is it that makes them unable to sort our waste. The second one we hosted was now with people who know how to convert waste into something that we can use. Yeah, because the problem has been one. When we mix all the waste together, then we are wasting. It becomes waste. When it's separated at source, and we have a process whereby now the various components of waste, the various waste streams, are taken to different waste users, then it becomes a resource.
How many households, do you think, take a sample of Nairobi, actually have different bins for different...
It's not a difficult thing to do.
But why is it not actually happening? Is it because people don't know how to do it, or they think it's very complicated?
It's because nobody has told them to do that. Have you heard the governor talk about we separating waste? Nobody. Not even the director of environment, not even our political leaders. But the moment we talk about it, people will do that. And we simply must, these things don't happen by themselves. They must be done. In China, they separate waste to 22 components, and they're used to it. Here we're talking about only 4 units.
All right, so the Dandora dump site is full. And it
has been full and is political. You will never, in fact, I was talking to some of the members who are from that area, and they were telling me that the larger Embakasi, the politics of Embakasi are actually controlled by the dump site issue. Depending on how you play it, you actually win or lose a seat. What I would have been proposing, and that's why I'm saying the incentive is the best way to go. A place like Gara, we have like 10 public primary and secondary schools. Why can't we have greenhouses there? And then why can't we be the ones who are taking up the organic waste? So that now kids also benefit by understanding how to make organic manure, and then we can do even organic farming, which is even healthier for us. So now which is actually probably 60 or 70% of the garbage we do in our households is organic. But you need something to be sorted out without being transported. You can find ways of doing a pilot somewhere and see how can we sort out in a specific ward in a given area. Once it works out, then let's replicate it.
There's a lot of technology out there that can be applied perhaps to the Nora dump site, thermal heating, and somehow you can harvest a lot of energy from a huge dump site like that. For example, a country like Sweden has run out of garbage because they used very advanced technology in terms of recycling and actually and generating energy from the garbage. And now they're at the point where, like you said, they're importing garbage. Is that something that we can do?
No, we can. Recently, I don't know whether you saw that, Kenya Power was saying that they could use the Nora dump site to generate electricity. Yeah? Who's picked that up with them? I know of about 3 institutions that have said that they can sort the Dandora mess in 6 months. Yeah? And it will not be there. Yeah? But when they make their proposals to the ministry and to the council or to the county, it hits a dead end, because nobody at those levels want to take responsibility. So the bottom line is, can we take responsibility? Those who are in those positions, can they take responsibility? The governor of Nairobi, can he put his foot down that I want to sort the Dandora dump site? And he gets in touch with people like Kenya Power, people like Bamburi Cement. They are ready to sort this mess, yeah? And he sits down with them. He must forget about the cartels that are entrenched in the waste, in the garbage field.
The solutions are there. Are you ready to ignore the politics and just get on with the work?
You can never ignore politics because somehow they are part of life. If, for example, we go, say, the same way of privatizing this issue, you're actually saying guys are going to lose their jobs. The county currently has a big deficit when it comes to pay wages. We have, I think, 11,000 workforce, half of which is in the environment. So if you're saying you're going to privatize this issue, you're saying like 3/4 of these jobs are going to go. Now, if you don't play your politics very right, however good and meaning the governor would be, then it also means he's losing his job. So there has to be a good balance.
All right. I'm afraid we'll have to end our discussion there. Thank you very much for being on Green Talk.
Thank you.
We are going on a break now, but when we return, we will showcase our green heroes of the week.
Taka Solutions is an end-to-end waste management company, which means we take charge in collecting waste, processing the waste, and creating waste-to-value products to sell later on in the chain. So we are able to go there in the community and work with the community, hire locally, employ youth to create a system locally that can collect that waste. We also train the tenants to separate their trash into organic, recyclable, and residual waste. Because the truth is the majority of the waste that we produce is actually valuable, right? As long as we can convert that into value. In order to do so, we need to separate it. So we work with these residents and community leaders to teach the community to separate their waste so that we can create organic fertilizer, biocharcoal out of the compost. We can create recycled glass bottles, sacks, clothes out of all the recyclable materials, and then only about 20% of the waste we collect actually needs to be taken to a dump site. Whereas traditionally here in Nairobi, 100% of the waste that is collected is sent to Dandora. In addition, we've started working with some textile manufacturers and recyclers to see if we can reuse the end of the value textile waste. Because this is things that are being discarded, but we have the ability to collect it, to sort it, to clean it, and reintroduce that into the environment. As for glass bottles, we have this special expertise in creating our own glass tumblers and wine glasses, how to recycle wine bottles and alcohol bottles.
Sasa naona hii ni sehemu moja ya chupa ile ya juu, ambayo kabla haijakuwa wine glass ilikuwa hivyo, na baadaye tukaikata, na tulipoikata ikawa wine glass, na hii ndio ikabaki ni tumbler. Sasa hii labda unaiona pengine iko tofauti kidogo rangi, ni kwa sababu tumeifanya blasting kutokana na mchanga wa baharini, ambao tuna blasti kurembesha vile kulingana na vile decoration vile client atakavyosema, ama kulingana na vile sisi wenyewe tutataka hiyo glasi ionekane. At the moment hii inaendanga kama 450, lakini we are planning to tunapanga yani tubadilishie bei kulingana na pia most of the things or most of the tools have gone up in terms of prices.
Tangu hawa waje tumekaa vizuri na wao mwenyewe unaona broti ni safi kabisa na wanafanyaga hivyo, wako na vijana ambao wako na bidii sana.
Hapa kwenye nakaa nafurahia sana because ukienda pale kwenye tunayakata kataka tumepewa instruction where to put kama uchafu za karatasi, where to put jivu na vitu kama za sukuma ameweka tofauti, lakini place nilikuwa nakaa we don't have such things. Tulikuwa tunatupa takataka kila mahali, so ningependa hata watembelee kwa hiyo plot wape hizo dustbin.
Keep in mind, these guys are moving about 200 kilos of waste per full kokoteni. So that's a lot of trash that these guys move every day, right? And then they take the organic waste to our compost facility, where it's then created into windrows, which are basically, so it's a mix of brown waste and green waste. That is then led to aerate, right? It's watered a little bit as well, so that the microorganisms can start developing and start chewing through the leftover organic waste, right? And as you continually turn it and aerate it over the weeks, after a few months, you'll get pretty high-grade compost. And our plan is to sell that to farmers. Right now we have about 2.2 acres of land that we're leasing to test the efficacy of this compost. Currently we have about 40 employees that work across a variety of functions. In addition, we provide them health insurance. In order to make this service work, we have to have not only happy customers, but more importantly, happy employees. Well, I think our future plan is definitely to be one of the largest waste management providers in Nairobi within the next 5 years. And that definitely will take us to as many different provinces of Nairobi as possible. More than anything, we just want to make sure that all Nairobi citizens have access to a service that's professional, affordable, and green.
In our country, solid waste management has a lot to be done. They say trash is cash. So all those dumped materials, the dumped materials in Dandora can be converted to a resource, to something for a product, and can create employment by making products out of that. Being in the middle of the residential area, one, there are emissions which are harmful to the people around. Also, it exposes a lot of danger to the people handling it at the dump site. The responsibility lies in the hands of the government. Also, the citizens like me and you, we have a role to play. My message to Kenyans as regards to solid waste management is for everyone to be responsible. Make sure you don't keep things in the house that are not useful to you. Take to where they can be handled properly. If we say plastic bags and all those, make sure they are handled properly and handled to the people who recycle plastics because they are there. And that way we are going to have a very clean environment.
I'm Eunice Wajuze. I live in Umoja Estate. Every time I go for shopping or to the market, I'm always given a lot of paper bags. I have so many paper bags in my house. I don't know what to do with them. What am I supposed to do with them?
Wale watu wako na paper bags kwa nyumba wanaweza tuletea. Sisi kwa the link hidden treasure tuko Korogosho. Products hizo zinatengenezwa kutoka kwa paper bags, sana sana ni bags. So bags ita depend na kala yake. Mtu akitueleza anataka kala fulani, tunaangalia ile paper bag. Na kama ni white kuna ile kala tunaiweka, tunaidai. But kama anataka paper bag ya green na black ndani na nini, si tunatafuta hizo paper bags tunashona zikiwa pamoja. Na kama ni hizi beads tunatengeneza kwa waste bado. Hizo material ni hizo tu. Then kama ni vitu nyingi, sasa waste yoyote sisi kwetu ni kazi. Kama hair weaves, zile zinashukwa zikitupwa huko tunazichukua, tunakuja tunaosha vizuri. Some of our members ni salonists but wanashukana na hizo weaves, but huwezi jua ni zile waste.
A
proper and functional waste management system in our cities is a matter of national interest and urgency if we are going to avert the systematic abuse of the environment and the health of the people living in places such as Korogocho, Huruma, Kariobangi, Dandora. What can you do today to change this? See you next week on Project Green.
Man, stop rolling. Rolling. Why? Question is, where does your trash go to once you're done with it?
I'm coming back.
Now, come on, 5 minutes.
The question is, has the government failed in providing a proper and adequate waste management city? The question is,